Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. I am your host, Michelle Gibbs, and I am passionate about helping scholarly mamas like you navigate your journeys with purpose so you can achieve your life and academic goals without sacrificing what matters. The reality is that scholarly mama life is multidimensional. We're scholars, yes, but we're also mothers, wives, and so much more with whole lives outside of academia. So how do we successfully navigate all this? Well, first, we need the space to embrace this unique blend. Only then can we begin the important work of becoming purposefully whole. And part of my own purposeful work is to create a space for us as scholarly mamas to grow, to reflect, and to become everything that we were meant to be. So, mama, are you in? Fabulous. Let's begin. These are our journeys of becoming. Hey, mamas. First of all, let me apologize. My voice is very, very weathered at the minute. I've got a bit of a cold and I've also been doing lots and lots of talking in the last few hours. So, my voice is not the best. However, I wanted to bring you this very, very special episode. I'm interrupting my regular scheduled programming for my podcast. I'm bringing you this very raw and honest and current in the moment reflection, because on Friday the 5th of May at 8:30 a.m. I submitted my PhD thesis. So before I get into those raw reflections, let me just say, for those of you who are not familiar with the British PhD system, the way that this works is that I've submitted my thesis, and then within the next 3 months or so, I will then have an oral viva or oral defense or oral exam to kind of explain why I've done what I've done, and to just defend it and justify all the steps I've taken, just talk about the work that I have done, basically. So that's not happened yet. So I've not technically finished my PhD. There's still that to go. And I'm actually looking forward to it because for me, it's the one opportunity that I get to talk about my work that I am so proud of. I'm so excited by. I am so... I put so much of myself into it. I worked my butt off in that PhD. So I am, part of me is looking forward to having the opportunity to share that and really, go deep into it and talk about it. So I'm looking forward to that in a few months' time. But for now, I have submitted my thesis. Now, I have been working on this for, oh my goodness, over 8 years. Not consistently, because I had multiple interruptions during my PhD. I had 2 maternity leaves and I had an interruption due to the pandemic. And in total, my interruptions probably add up to almost 2.5, almost 3 years. So it's not been a consistent 8 years, but it's been, from the time I began to now has been over 8 years. And in this episode, I just wanted to share with you all the thoughts that I felt on Friday when I actually submitted it. I don't even know where to begin with this, honestly. It's a heavy load lifted. I feel lighter. I feel relief. I feel, satisfaction for the fact that I've gotten this far. And I've reached this milestone in my journey. But there's also that feeling of, overwhelming joy. And I felt tearful at times with joy because, this has been so hard. And I don't think that people really understand the gravity of what it means. There's an even deeper reason for celebration right now. Let me share that with you. For me, this has always been more than about just doing a PhD or just getting another degree. It has had a deeper meaning and significance to me because what it shows me, the fact that I was able to complete this work that, hopefully will have an impact in the area of my PhD. That's my hope. But that I was able to complete this work, which I deeply care about, in a way that is different from what is expected, in a way that's not typical in academia, because I've been very intentional about navigating this journey by embracing the blend that it is, by recognizing that other dimensions of myself are not hindrances to my success on this journey, but enhance my potential for success on this journey. And one of the things that I am most proud of is that I did it purposefully, that I held on to what mattered to me, that I prioritized what mattered to me, and I was still able to do justice to, or hopefully do justice to, work that is also important to me. So, to have that validation, I guess, or confirmation that this method works and this is something that I care so deeply about. And one of the reasons why I started Scholarly Mamas and will be launching that soon is because I want other mamas to know that, first of all, there's a place for you. If you want to do work that's meaningful and purposeful for you, there's a place for you. There's a place for your PhD journey and there's a place for you on your PhD journey. But also that if you do decide to follow that route, you can do that in a different way. You don't have to do it in a way that everybody else expects or the work culture, the academic culture expects. That you could choose to do this purposefully and to really value the work that you do, but value what you bring as a mother, as someone who is juggling so many hats, as someone who deeply cares and loves her family, as someone who, is, resourceful, someone who's creative and can problem solve and can demonstrate resilience. You are all of those things. And so me being able to reach this milestone signifies that this method is feasible. It can work. It worked for me and it can work for you as well. This milestone represents all the mamas that I may unknowingly represent. It reminds us that we are not invisible, we are not incapable, that we belong where we are and we deserve a place there. And I think that, a day like today is worth every bit of celebration. It's not the end of the journey, of course, but it's a significant milestone on that journey and one that's worth every bit of celebration, every bit of celebration. This is the purpose behind Scholarly Mamas. So if you want to know more about that, please do join the waitlist for Scholarly Mamas. I'd love to have you in the Scholarly Mama community. And once you hop on the waitlist, I will keep you posted as to when the doors will open for Scholarly Mamas. But anyway, I digress. So that's why this was so important to me. And that's one of the reasons why it means so much, because it's proof that you can do this without sacrificing what matters. You can do this without sacrificing those things in your life that you value and you cherish and you care about. And the things that when this PhD season is over, that you can come back to. So you don't want to diminish their value and importance just because you're doing a PhD. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So first of all, that is one of the biggest celebrations, I guess. It's a celebration of wholeness. It's a celebration of harmony. It's a celebration of, being able to navigate the struggle purposefully. And for me, that's what it's about. And that's what it's always been about. Okay, so let's get let's go into a bit more detail now on what the journey's actually been like. Practically, what did this actually look like for me? Let's get into that. I have been doing this PhD, as I said in one of my previous episodes, as a minority in so many ways. There were so many times on this journey that I felt like I didn't belong, either because of the fact that I'm a racial minority or, being a mom and trying to juggle all of this and having the same expectations as people who, could put perhaps a lot more time and energy and effort into what they were doing that I could, and trying to maintain a happy home life and marriage and, just trying to keep it all together, I think is incredibly, incredibly hard. It's beautiful and it's rewarding, and those aspects of my life bring me so much joy and make me so happy. But it's also really, really difficult to carry the burden of as heavy as a PhD while navigating all the other journeys that I'm on. This is why I talk about becoming purposely whole, because I feel like without that as a mission and without that as a goal, I could have easily lost my way. I could have easily become overwhelmed by this or burnt out by it, or just, other aspects of my life might have suffered because of it. And so having that North Star goal of becoming purposely whole, for me, it means, and it gives all the things that I am doing validation that they have a place in my life. And they're not there to distract me from important work of my PhD. They are the important work. My kids, my husband, my family life, it matters to me. I value that. It helps me to feel complete. It helps me to feel like I am not just here, working my butt off, doing a PhD, and then the rest of my life is falling into pieces. Like, no, I didn't want that. I was very, very intentional about making sure that I navigated this journey with purpose. And I also wanted to show you that, you can achieve your goals without sacrificing what matters. You can achieve the career goals or the academic goals that you set for yourself. And in order to do that, you don't have to, forget about family or put everybody on the back burner or, not do the things that bring you joy and not make you happy, because those are the things that when this journey is really tough, and it will be really tough, those are the things that help you to remember your why, help you to keep going, to stay motivated, and to just, become the best version of who you are becoming. So let me just give you a bit of a recap of what this journey has been like. So before I started my PhD, I had an idea. I was working clinically and I had some ideas around what I wanted to do in terms of a topic. And I had some conversations with academics that I was familiar with about my ideas and how I could, do a PhD. I previously worked doing lab research. Actually, before becoming a dietitian, I'd done some lab research many years ago. And I had the opportunity to do a PhD then, and I didn't take it because I wasn't sure I wanted to do a PhD in that particular area. It was in hematology. I wasn't sure that I wanted to do a PhD in that. So after qualifying as a dietitian, I, like I said, had some ideas around what I wanted to do, because research has always been my thing. It's always I've always had an affinity for it. So I brainstormed some ideas and I started to look around for funding. And in that process, I found a funder who I made a decision to apply to for funding for my PhD, and I was successful in doing that. And I started my PhD. I think that was in 2014. And then soon after that, I had to take maternity leave because I became pregnant with our second son and took a break from my PhD. I returned to my PhD after that break, and I carried on with that all the way until COVID. And when COVID, I think I talked about this in a previous episode, but when COVID began, especially having to do the homeschooling and all that, it became increasingly difficult to also put in the effort towards my PhD. And because when you take an interruption, the clock stops basically on your PhD. So I decided that that's what I was going to do because I wasn't really making any progress at that point. I was making progress up until that point, but once the pandemic hit and the homeschooling and everything started, I thought, no, I think I need to take an interruption because this is not going to work. And so that's what I did. I also became pregnant at that time. So immediately after my interruption ended, I then went into maternity leave. And what that meant was I had a very, very long time, during which I'd taken that break. So when I returned to my PhD at the end of 2021 and into the beginning of 2022, by that point, I had done all my data collection and analysis. I'd done most of my analysis and data collection. And so I just started to really hone in on the writing. Now, I'd done some writing previously, but it wasn't coherent. It wasn't structured. It was kind of writing a bit here and there, writing thoughts, reading and writing as I went along. But at the beginning of 2022 is when I really thought, okay, it's time to start really bringing everything together and start to write this thesis. So that's when I really started seriously putting it together. And it's been, about 16 months of solid writing. I cannot believe, yes, I've had real life. Yes, I've had work outside of that and home life and all that stuff, but it still doesn't really feel that long. That's a long period of time to be writing one document. My PhD thesis is 100,000 words. And it's huge. It's a huge, huge document, but it's something that I'm very, very, very proud of, and something that I will always look back at this journey and think, this means so much. Because let me tell you something. I have felt like giving up on this PhD so many times. And the only person who probably really, really knows what this has felt like for me is my husband. Like, he will tell you, I have felt like giving up so many times. What I've realized actually is that it's getting in your own head is the hardest thing to overcome in this journey. I think, yes, the writing's hard. Yes, the research is hard. Yes, the juggle is hard. All of those are really hard. But I think the most difficult thing for me was mindset. It was overcoming my inner critic and really talking myself. It was so easy to try and talk myself out of it. I would literally think, okay, I don't really need to do this PhD because I could do this instead. I could do that instead. I don't really know if I want to be bothered with this anymore. It's causing me so much stress. But actually, I think that I was getting in my own way. And on reflection, what it really was that I needed to remember my why. And this is where I've talked about a few times where I made that decision that no matter what, I am going to navigate this journey purposefully, because there has to be something deeper to keep me going along on this path. Just becoming Dr. Whoever, or having another degree. I've got lots of, my PhD is my 5th degree. I've got enough degrees now to fill that gap. I don't need this PhD to do that. So it had to be deeper than that. Being a first generation PhD is huge. My parents do not have degrees. I was the first person in my family to have a degree, actually, on both sides. And so I didn't have that example to lean on. But what I did have was a motivation and determination to do it and to see it through. What I did have was an opportunity to pursue a PhD in a topic of my choice, a topic that I care about and that I'm passionate about. And that was such a beautiful and wonderful opportunity. And what I also had was perspective. I had perspective of what mattered to me. I had my core values. I knew what I was willing to and not willing to compromise. And that really gave me such important perspective and also confidence to do this my way, to do it my way. And I am so happy when I look back and I reflect on the fact that I didn't compromise on those things, my values and what mattered to me. And I was still able to reach my goal of submitting my thesis. And of course, the next goal is to do well in my Viva and really see that as an opportunity to show my passion for what I've done, show my interest, my commitment to what I've done, and just, give it my absolute all. So that's what I intend to do. And I am so pleased and happy to have you on this journey with me, especially knowing that, this is a very scary thing. But you know what? I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in purpose, and that's the approach I've taken the whole way through. And why should I change that now? This is no different. But there were a few things on this journey that really, really kept me going when all I wanted to do was give up. And, it's a lot of people doing PhDs will share that experience of feeling at some point like, oh, I don't want to be bothered with this. I can't do this. I can't do this. And I felt that as well. But one of the things I want you to remember, Mama, is that you are capable of more than you think you're capable of. I can tell you that. If I could do what I have done over such a long period of time, stay the course, stay motivated, stay consistent, and stay dedicated to what I was doing, even when I faced what felt like the most insurmountable challenges, I know for a fact that other people can do it too. But I think the important thing to remember is that it's not just about achieving a goal and reaching that end point and getting to the outcome. That's really not my approach. I think there's so much growth that can happen on that journey. And also, the goal here isn't to just achieve a degree. It's about becoming purposefully whole. So paying attention to other aspects of your life, of your growth, of your development, and of, your joy and what brings you that joy. I think it's really important to distinguish between achievement and purpose. There's a difference. For me personally, the most beautiful moments along this journey have been in the last couple of weeks. My kids they know that I've been working really hard to get my thesis finished, and I have actually been working very hard to do that. I was in the lounge just having a chat with them. Their dad was at work and they were saying to me, Mommy, how much longer have you got on your PhD? And I said, well, not much longer because I'm just trying to finish up my thesis, but it's so hard. And they both looked at me and they said, don't worry, Mommy, you can do it. Just keep going. You can do it. And they came over to me and they hugged me. And all I did was just burst into tears. I could not even contain the emotion because here I was looking after my three amazing sweethearts, and they're saying to me, Mommy, you can do it. Keep going. You got this. You can do it, Mommy. We believe in you. They were saying that stuff to me. And I knew without a shadow of a doubt that there was no way that I was not going to do this, because my kids needed to see that even when things are hard, they can do hard stuff. If I can do it, they can do it. And it may be something different for them. But I wanted them to see that just because something is hard does not mean it's impossible. On the day that I submitted, I came downstairs and they knew that I was going to submit it that day because I told them I was going to. They said, that is so amazing. That is so, so amazing, Mommy. We're so proud of you. And honestly, my heart just melted. It just melted because I knew I'd finally done what I said I was going to do. The other emotion that I felt on Friday was, this PhD has been such a constant in my life for the last 8 years. Even when I was on maternity leave and even when I was on interruption from COVID, it was never far from my thoughts. I think to get to a point, even today as I'm recording this, it's Saturday today, I'm recording this podcast the day after submitting my PhD. And even today, it's like, I feel like, well, where's the PhD gone? Oh my goodness, you submitted it. I literally woke up this morning and thought, did I actually submit my PhD yesterday? Did I actually do that? I couldn't even believe it. I had to kind of remind myself that I did. And I think that's the thing as well about doing a PhD. It's such a long journey. And I know some of you may be doing your PhDs full time. I did not. I did my PhD part time. But I know that even if you're doing your PhD full time, the fact that it's such a long period of time compared to something like a master's, which, you may get done and dusted in a year or two, a PhD is over such a long period of time. It really does become a significant part of your life. Even when you're in the final stages of that journey, it still feels like you're saying goodbye to something, you're breaking up with something or someone. And that sounds really strange to say, but yeah, it's been such a constant. And to not have that on my shoulders anymore feels in some ways, yes, it's a load lifted, but also it feels like a bit of a void. Like, where is it gone? Oh, my PhD is submitted. Oh my goodness, I can't quite believe that. So yeah, that will take some adjusting, but that's not adjusting that I'm going to have a problem with. I'm welcoming that adjustment. So yeah, I just wanted to take a moment and share reflections, raw reflections. I've not prepared any of this in advance. Just share my reflections on what this means to me and to just share that joy with you. I'm actually really just happy and full of gratitude for all of the support that I've had on this journey, especially my husband and the boys and my family, everybody that has just encouraged me, my friends. I am just so grateful for all of you. And I am just giving so much thanks to God for the strength and the tenacity to see this through to the end. I am looking forward to my Viva. Of course, I will keep you updated on that. And whatever the outcome, I am going to be grateful and just do what I need to do. So that has been my raw reflection of what it feels like to submit a PhD thesis after 8 years while juggling family life, marriage, and just home life. I'm just so grateful for the journey. I'm just so, so grateful for the journey that this has been and continues to be. So, Mama, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Until then, I'm sending you lots of love and gratitude. Take care. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you did and you want in on this movement, why not head over to mrsmummyphd.com. You can join the waitlist for our exclusive community of smart, purposeful, scholarly mamas. We'd love to see you on the inside. Remember, mama, these are our journeys of becoming.